The most wanted financial criminal in the world right now is Kwon. Born in Seoul, September 6, 1991, he went to high school in South Korea, but then went to the US and Stanford University to study computer science. He was a bright kid, Kwon. He worked for a few months at both Microsoft and Apple before eventually going back to South Korea. It's clear that big tech didn't suit Kwon. He wanted to build big tech himself. So, fed up with building other people's dreams, Kwon wanted to make his own dent in the universe, and he thought maybe crypto would be the way to do that. Crypto was a growing industry, and people were already making life-changing money from it. He started a stablecoin crypto project called Basis Cash. What's a stablecoin, I hear you say? Well, stablecoins are big business in crypto. They're tokens that are supposed to be $1 each, so pegged to it, so that you can efficiently trade into and out of crypto. They're supposed to be stable in price, acting like a kind of digital dollar pegged to the real US dollar, hence the name stablecoin. Kwon's Basis Cash wanted to operate like a crypto bank, giving people the ability to deposit their crypto and stablecoins onto the platform, and then offering a fixed percentage in return for their deposits. Basis would make their money by lending out what you deposit to other people at an even higher interest rate. This first stablecoin project that Kwon launched was supposed to be worth $1 per token, and now it's worth less than half a cent and has been abandoned. But here's the kicker. He was an anonymous co-founder of that project. So, when he started a new algorithmic stablecoin project with the Terra ecosystem, no one actually knew that he tried something like this before and failed. Stablecoin projects are usually backed by big treasuries, cash reserves, or even other crypto, so that people knew there was something behind the stablecoin and it was worth what people said it was worth. Kwon didn't have those kinds of funds, but he didn't let that stop him. He launched a new crypto project with an experimental algorithm and called it Terraform Labs. Kwon began to partner with e-commerce companies all across Asia to build adoption for his crypto platform. He started to see some early success. In 2019, he was named in Asia's Forbes 30 Under 30. But not everything was what it appeared to be. Within the company, Kwon was starting to build a reputation as a narcissistic micromanager who was verbally abusive to his employees. Within a couple of years, virtually all the core people left, many with legal disputes. Terraform Labs increasingly became a one-man show, with Kwon making all the decisions. And remember that first algorithmic stablecoin Kwon launched and failed, Basis Cash? Well, he launched a new one, and it was called Terra USD. The algorithmic stablecoin he was trying to build was not unique. A lot of people have tried before to create a capital-efficient stablecoin. Unfortunately, they've all been disastrous. Mark Cuban and the Titan Iron stablecoin are an example of this. When Terra USD came out, people were already suspicious of this algorithmic stablecoin and were quick to call it a Ponzi or a pyramid scheme. But how did this algorithmic stablecoin work exactly? Terra USD's token had the sticker UST. The purpose of UST was to always remain at $1. Terraform Labs also had a second crypto, and it was called Luna, and its ticker was LUNA. While UST was supposed to stay stable at $1, Terra Luna was volatile, and it was supposed to absorb the volatility so that UST could keep at $1. This was all managed by a computer algorithm trying to keep everything in equilibrium. Typically, stablecoins are collateralized, so something like USDC or USDT are backed by something. But Terra USD was initially backed by nothing but a mint and burn mechanism linked with its sister token Luna. In theory, this can work if there are small movements in UST from its $1 peg, and Luna needs to be bought or sold by market participants to bring it back to its equilibrium. But When there's a big movement, it can cause a feedback loop of a lot of people selling and losing trust, resulting in a death spiral. Remember that for later. Now, Kwon was a busy guy, and during this time, he also worked on another crypto project called Anchor Protocol. And in Anchor Protocol, you would give them your UST, and they would offer you a fixed percentage of return that was almost 20%. Getting 20% on your US dollar in annual returns fixed is something unheard of in traditional markets. It gave people a reason to put their money into UST so then they can put it into Anchor Protocol. The problem was Anchor Protocol was starting to become so popular, they were paying out almost $7 million per day in interest. Although many critics advised against it, Kwon was insistent on having a fixed percentage return and also giving people the ability to take out money whenever they wanted. In traditional markets for a savings account, a lot of times it's fixed for a number of years. It was this combination of factors that left Terra UST vulnerable to mass withdrawals all at once. People became very polarized about the Terra ecosystem and ended up dividing into two camps. One, people who were very critical of Kwon and the Ponzi they believed he was running, and the other, self-proclaimed lunatics who believed that this was the future of crypto and finance and everything else was just FUD. Even in 2021, when crypto markets started to fall dramatically, Kwon still insisted on offering a fixed percentage return on Anchor Protocol for UST. This just made it even more popular because people were starting to get out of crypto and into cash. But why just hold cash when you can hold it in UST and then get 20% on your cash? This is great. You can just hold it, get a solid return fixed, and wait for the crypto market to recover. At its peak, in April 2022, the Terra ecosystem was worth $45 billion. It was being used by hundreds of decentralized apps in crypto and processing millions of payments all across the world. Terraform Labs marketed itself as a decentralized financial ecosystem, when actually it was the opposite. According to insiders, Kwon was basically a dictator and made all the final decisions. As Kwon started to build the big tech he'd always dreamed of, Terra became the fourth largest crypto project, only behind Bitcoin, Ethereum, and another stablecoin, USDT. This led to Kwon becoming pretty arrogant. He even had a daughter at the peak of Terra in April 2022 and named her Luna. He tweeted, "My dearest creation, named after my greatest invention." But on the 9th of May 2022, Terra USD's $1 peg started to fall. Imagine you were holding UST and it was no longer worth $1. What would you do? Well, a lot of people went to Anchor Protocol, withdrew their UST, and started to sell it. Because investor confidence was weakening and Terra USD was being sold, this meant more of its sister token, Luna, had to be printed so that there'd be more reserves to back up Terra USD. But because so much Terra USD was being sold, it caused hyperinflation in Luna. So much of it had to be printed, and the increase of Luna in the market caused the price of Luna to go down. So more people started to sell that as well because they were worried. Thus, the dreaded death spiral had begun. The self-proclaimed lunatics called this a coordinated attack. That didn't matter now because Terra USD's $1 peg started to fall to 90 cents. To 80 cents. Although Terra USD was an algorithmic stablecoin supposed to be backed by nothing but code and a mint and burn mechanism, they actually did have some reserves for a situation like this. Terraform Labs created the Luna Foundation Guard, which was a mixture of $3 billion worth of Bitcoin and $450 million worth of cash. This was all to defend the $1 USD peg. 70 cents, 60 cents, 50 cents. It just kept going down with no end in sight. 30 cents, 20 cents, 10 cents. Just 1 month later, after Terra USD started to depeg, it was now worth less than 1 cent. Actually, around half a cent. A dead project, it now sits just below 3 cents. The sister token Terra Luna also went from an all-time high of $119 to $0.00002 or 0.02 cent. The $45 billion Terra ecosystem had collapsed in just under 7 days. Now, I don't know about you, but losing $45 billion is not something the US government tends to ignore. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen pointed to the Terraform Labs collapse as a rallying cry for legislation and regulations in crypto. This truly was a Lehman Brothers moment for the crypto community. But where there are losers, there are also winners. There were people who profited from this collapse. Chicago-based Jump Crypto made $1.28 billion from Terra's collapse. Jump Crypto were previously able to buy heavily discounted Luna tokens. These were the tokens that were supposed to support UST's $1 peg. Jump Crypto and Terraform Labs were supposed to be partners working together. The firm only deployed $62 million to help keep UST's peg, but then earned $1.28 billion from selling the heavily discounted Luna they purchased, which obviously wouldn't help keep UST's peg. The Jump Crypto president even served on the board of the Luna Foundation Guard. A lot of people are pissed at Kwon, and he's facing a lot of challenges at the moment. Kwon even had someone come to his apartment who allegedly lost around $2 million to demand an apology from him. A series of raids were also carried out on Kwon's offices and home so that prosecutors could collect as much information as they could. Citizens from all across the world, including South Korea, the US, and Singapore, are filing lawsuits against him. South Korean officials have also revoked his passport and have issued an arrest warrant for him. Whether it was naivety, desperation, or hubris, Kwon tried to revive the Terra ecosystem by creating Terra 2.0 in the same month of when it all collapsed in May 2022. This was met with a lot of criticism. During the same month that Kwon launched Terra 2.0, the SEC started an investigation into the marketing of Terra USD to see if it violated federal regulations on investments and securities. Despite Terraform Labs being registered in Singapore and Kwon and his offices in South Korea, Terra USD falls under the SEC's regulations because Americans had bought the token with the intention to fund businesses or seek profits. In September 2022, Seoul Southern District Prosecutor's Office had begun the process of placing Kwon on Interpol's Red Notice list. In December 2022, South Korean authorities believed Kwon was in hiding in Serbia. Why Serbia? Because it doesn't have an extradition treaty with South Korea. And in February 2023, the SEC charged Kwon and Terraform Labs with fraud. The SEC charges have revealed Terra USD's stability was in fact a complete fabrication. There was never an algorithm that worked to keep its $1 peg. In fact, Kwon worked with a third party, we now believe to be Jump Crypto, to help maintain that peg. Everyone was being misled. There was never a product that worked the way they said it did. This is quite similar to Elizabeth Holmes and Theranos and the fake lab reports to deceive people. On top of this, the SEC has accused Kwon of transferring 10,000 Bitcoin, around $250 million, to Swiss bank accounts following the collapse of Terraform Labs. Stablecoins were supposed to be the safest of all crypto, because theoretically, they were supposed to stay at $1. Anchor Protocol was incorrectly marketed as a crypto savings account, as low risk, which is perhaps why so many people put their money into it. Those people didn't want the volatility, the ups and downs that come with crypto. Instead, they were putting their money into something which never actually worked as Kwon said it did. And a result of all these people pursuing something which they thought was the safest thing in crypto, ironically, they ended up becoming scammed to the biggest crypto disaster of them all. Nothing in this life is 100% safe when it comes to investments, certainly not in crypto. So please, only be prepared to put into crypto what you're able to lose. If any of you were affected by this or know someone who was, share your story in the comments below. Stay safe out there and subscribe for more stories like this, and I'll see you next time.